Hi, this is Pamela from the Fiber Sprite. In my last video, I shared the process of unboxing the Cricket Quartet. In this video, I'm sharing my thoughts on how it goes together, plus some tips and tricks. All in all, it took me 2.5 hours to put together the Cricket Quartet. This video is about 6 minutes long, so it's super sped up. This is not an instructional video. Shact has provided one of those on YouTube, and it's definitely worth a watch. My biggest tip for working with the Cricut line of products is to use a cordless drill. All of the holes that you need are pre-drilled, and the instructions tell you that you just need a screwdriver, but many of these holes are very tight. It takes a lot more hand strength than I have to do it all by hand, not to mention it takes way more time that I could be weaving. Plus, when I tried to do it all by hand that first time, I worried about stripping the heads of the screws where it was really tight. This is still a big risk with power tools, so I always go slowly with a cordless drill and do the last bit of tightening by hand. This has worked out really well for me with all of Shact's Cricut products, including the Cricut Quartet. Again, this is not an instructional video, and I know it's a little bit out of frame. I wish I had a professional film crew, but it's just me. Be sure to check out Shact's instructions for a step-by-step guide and clear images of each step. The next step is to put the heddles on the shafts. This was the most time-consuming part of the whole process, taking me almost an hour. These are Texsolve heddles, and they come in bundles of 100, but they're expensive, and this is a small loom, so Shact probably determined that 75 per shaft is pretty generous as a starting point for most weavers on this size loom, and I agree with them. It's just tedious and slow to put them on, and that's true regardless of what kind of loom it is. I also had a bit of a learning curve putting them on because it's been a really long time since I've put brand new Texsolve heddles onto a loom. First you put them on and then you count off 25 and tie them back together to move to a different shaft. Then you cut the loops between each heddle. They are done that way in the manufacturing process to keep them all together, but you don't want them connected like that when you're weaving. You want to make sure that you're cutting the loops between the heddles and not the heddles themselves, because then you'll have just wasted money and lost yourself a heddle. Then you're going to divide the remaining group into half, 38 on one side and 37 on the other, and then attach the Texsolve cord to the middle of the shaft. And then you do that 3 more times. Once that's all done, you'll fix them into the loom. This was fiddly, but not too difficult. I did appreciate there was a little extra length on that Texsolve cord, but I did end up trimming those floppy bits later once I was satisfied with the arrangement. I was confused because it wasn't really possible to get the shafts lined up as perfectly as I wanted, but this didn't impact the usability once I had a warp on there. Just get them as close as you can. The next step is to take out the parts of the Cricut that won't be used with the Cricut Quartet. The lower bar in the middle of the loom stabilizes it for even weaving. However, the new shafts take up some of that space, and the new bar is a little bit narrower. You'll also take off the back beam, as it's going to be moved back a few inches to give you a nice large shed. Sorry again, this is a little bit out of frame, so refer to Shact's video if you need a clearer picture of what's happening. Next, the new shaft assembly is going to pop right into the Cricut loom. I really like how sturdy that new center bar feels, and I actually wish all the Cricut bars were this sturdy. What I don't love about it is that it uses a different size hex key or Allen wrench than my previous setup. And so that means I have one more thing to keep track of. This was actually a big deal because I had to go hunting for that hex key when I was adjusting it into the stand. And I had to repeat that adjustment several times because the loom kept slipping down. It's not resting as evenly in the stand as the rigid heddle version. You're also going to install the back beam into its new location. I was a little bit surprised they didn't include some extra Texsolve to extend the back apron rod because it's now several inches shorter after going around that new beam. Extra length on the back apron rod can be a little bit tricky to weave with, but it also helps to reduce your warp waste, which is often something I'm considering when using a small loom like the Cricut. Be sure to treat yourself to a few yards or even a roll of Texsolve. You can use it for just about anything, so it's good to have on hand. So the final step is to assemble the beater. This step was a little bit tricky, and it might be helpful to have somebody help you with some of this step. The first part is pretty straightforward, but you need to hold things in place while they get screwed in, and it did take me a few tries before I got it right. Then the arms for the swinging beater were the tricky part because it's a friction fit at the top and it wanted to fall apart on me a few times. This is a part of the design. It's supposed to move freely, but it was just kind of difficult and a little bit unwieldy to put it together. Then putting it into the loom was also tricky. You want it to swing freely and evenly so you get a nice even beat on your fabric. And this required a lot of adjusting during setup, and I ended up fine-tuning it even more once I was actually weaving. And that's it. It's ready to weave. Remember, the big tips are to refer to the instructional video, use a power drill, and take your time. I hope this video helps you know what to expect when you're putting together a Cricket Quartet, and I'll be back soon with my experience actually weaving on it. Thanks so much for watching.